the year-over-year inflation each month. So February of 2021 compared to February of 2020, 1.7%. And then it rose up to 4.2%, and the Federal Reserve said it will be transitory. It's a very temporary phenomenon. Prices are going to level out. Don't worry about it. And 5%, 5.4%, 6.2%, and last month, February of 2022, instead of 1.7%, we've got 7.9%. So if you're tracking prices, it went up from 2020, 1.7% plus 7.9%. Anyway, this is the CP lie. It's not. If you look at gasoline and groceries, it is much, much, much higher than that. It's part of the lie that you get to tell with fiat currency. So let's take this back a little bit further. Here's CPI year over year going all the way back to 1992. And what you see is this is the sharpest rise in the chart. There was one time where it fell close to a similar scale in a similar time frame, but that was falling. That was the crisis of '08, and we went into deflation. The zero line here is deflation. This is just vicious, and you can see that as soon as people sort of got tired of the pandemic and they actually started spending some of the currency that had been created because of the pandemic, we're at 7.9% year over year. Now, Marin Katusa of Katusa Research, who Jeff Clark had worked with a long, long time ago, produced this chart, and it's the S&P Commodity Index versus the S&P 500. So you've got their commodities versus, in the 500 is really the equities. And equities are expensive, commodities are cheap. So this is commodities priced in equities, basically. And what you see here is that we are still at the lowest point in this chart, except for just the past year or so. This is the beginning of a long-term trend. I've got charts that go back a few hundred years on this, and it swings back and forth like a pendulum, and there is a cycle to it, certain periods, up, down, up, down, up, down. This has a long way to run. If you look at the time scales, this is only a few years. Here's 70, like 73. Then we had the crash of 74 in the stock market, and that's basically what caused this. But you can see this cycle that goes on. This will be a long-term trend, but I have a feeling that this is going to rise very fast. You can see that there are some times where it rises a tremendous amount in just a couple of years. So if this is 1 and it goes to 8 or 10, you're going to be able to get 10 times more stocks for the commodities that you sell, that you are invested in when you go to sell them. Now, gold and silver are part of these commodities in that index. However, gold and silver are also money. They're not just a commodity, and they are going to way, way, way outperform the rest of the commodities in what is coming. So, one of the things that has inflated is gasoline, and the president is blaming that on Russia. And thanks to Belang P of Evidence-Based Wealth, he took a breakdown of 2020 crude oil imports and exports. So you've got the exporting country here, the importing country here, and on this side he put it in percentages instead of millions of barrels of oil. And in 2020, the U.S. only imported 1.4% of its oil from Russia. So the Russians aren't really going to care if we stop buying. It's not going to have any impact on if we stop buying. And it's not really the reason for the price increase at the pump that you're seeing. This is a global thing. Now, could it really be? They're blaming it on Russia. Could it be our fault? This is the currency that the Federal Reserve has created since March of 2020. This is the pandemic currency right here. And it's huge, going from about 15 trillion up to 22 and a half trillion in such a short period of time. And so this is funny money, or currency, I like to call it, but it is play money, and they are playing with it. Now, to give you a perspective of how much currency they're creating compared to what they've done in the past, this is the year-over-year change, so change from a year ago in billions of dollars. And I'm sorry I'm laughing. M2 is the people's currency supply. This is what's in your checking account. It includes the cash in your wallet, what's in your checking account, savings account, in your money market fund if it's under $100,000, I believe. MZM is the currency supply aggregate that includes the big boys capital, the stuff, if you want to include what's in brokerage accounts that belong to, where there's billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars in those accounts, then that's included in MZM, not in M2. I believe M2 cuts it off at $100,000. But there you go. This is the difference. Do you think any of that could have found its way out of this? Because when they create this, most of it goes into financial assets. The Federal Reserve has to purchase a financial asset. It ends up going into brokerage houses, and that ends up either in bonds or in the stock market. However, some people have been rotating out of overpriced assets into cash and buying other stuff with it. Could that be part of what's driving price?
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information, and it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where do you start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.